2 Samuel 14. Now Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom. So his friend sees that he misses his son. And Joab sent to Tekah and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. So I find it very interesting that Joab sends a woman, the people that David seems to have a disrespect for or disregard for. And we're going to see how David treats this woman that um, his friend has sent to to him. Sorry. And what's interesting is that also is that Tamar was like a widow, was like a mourner, and he's sending this woman to act like a widow. And come to the king and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekah spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and thy two strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother, whom he slew. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name or nor um something. My eyes are going. What's that word, Andrea?
It's a reminder, remainer,
Oh,
remainer.
remainer upon the earth.
Yes.
So, um, this may very well be the story of one of the wives of. No, no, because the wives have David, and David's got a lot of kids. So not one of. This is not talking about one of David's wives, but she's setting up the story that it's like the story that happened with Amnon and Absalom, that one brother killed the other, and she's protecting the brother that killed the other brother. And didn't we see this in Cain and Abel, where God, like, Cain killed Abel, but God still protected Cain? And this is also showing how loving God still is, you know?
Yeah, that God is loving.
So she's acting for protection because they want to kill her other son, and that's her last son. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and my father's house, and the king his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest that they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one. So David made a proclamation that um, he made a lot of proclamations in the beginning. This one is talking about the one to the effect that um, the rules that he made concerning avenging somebody else's blood. He made a lot of like very graceful proclamations that like what was the one that I remember off the top of my head? Um, he said, you know, if someone goes into battle but the other person doesn't go into battle,
Mhm.
the other person that did go into battle can't be wicked and they have to give to the other one. And a lot of gracious things like that. So it's about this murderer finding grace. Not
What?
one hair of thy son shall fall to the earth. And yeah, anyways, this sentence has been used before when Saul's servants were saving Jonathan. But, anyways, I
Oh.
digress. Then the woman said, let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, say on. And the woman said, wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king does speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king does not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die, and are as water spit on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither does God respect any person, yet does he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. So he's talking about Absalom who's banished, that he needs to go get him.
Oh.
Now therefore I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king. It is because the people have made me afraid, and thy handmaid said, I will now speak with the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of
Yes, honey.
his handmaid. Sorry.
Are you okay,
Yeah, it's
sister?
just tough without glasses. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God.
Oh.
Then the what is that word? Then what?
Then the handmaid.
Okay, the handmaid said, the word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore, the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? So he's like, okay, I know it's my friend Andrea, or, I know Andrea sent you because
Mhm.
what you're talking about the same situation that we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord the king has spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in my mouth of thine handmaid, to fetch about this form of speech has thy servant Joab done this thing, and my Lord is wise according to the wisdom of an angel of God to know all things that are in the earth. So we see after that Solomon, as the smartest and the richest man on earth, that the branch didn't fall too far from the tree, that David was pretty intelligent, even though he can act pretty dumb sometimes.
Yes, oh Father.
And the king said unto Joab, behold, so he's not even talking to the woman anymore. He's talking to Joab because he knows that Joab sent her.
Mhm.
Now I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absolem again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, and that the king has fulfilled the request of his servant. So this is something that Joab doesn't even really want, but he sees that his friend wants it, David. So it just shows you how close um, David's relationships are, and David has the closest relationships in the Bible. Even
Oh.
out of even the people that I know today,
Hmm?
David has the closest relationships with people.
Really?
So Joab arose and went to um,
I'm so sorry.
Gersh.
What page? 23, you 22.
23.
You read so fast. Oh my lord. Okay, sis. Yeah. Okay.
And Joab arose and went to Gershu and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house and let him not see my face. So
Oh.
David, he wants to see his son, but he doesn't want to see his son. So it's probably best that he doesn't see his son
Yeah.
because maybe he's a little angry here.
Mm-hmm.
So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty, from the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head. There was no blemish in him. So he is picture perfect. Everything is made for him. The soul, he has like nice soft feet and his nails are perfect and from head to toe, he is perfection. Even to not even head to toe, from crown to toe, meaning even the way that the crown sits on his head is just perfecting the picture.
Oh.
He is absolutely beautiful.
Ah, beautiful. Man, beautiful. Hmm.
But now we see what Tamar. Remember, Tamar was beautiful. That's how, this guy got all interested in her because. So this shows you too that beauty comes down from the family
Yeah.
tree. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a family line. It's like if you have a beautiful family, you're probably gonna be beautiful. If you have a not so beautiful family, you're probably not gonna be very beautiful. So it's not your fault if you're not beautiful. It's your
Mm-hmm.
family's fault, okay?
Family, father, pleading for me, yes. Thank you.
But thank God that we got some beautiful people in our family.
Amen.
We got some good
Mm.
looking people. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
yes. Oh yes.
So, yes, beauty is inherited. You cannot do it with plastic surgery. Will not do it.
Waste of money.
Yeah. And when he pulled his head, for it was at every year's end that he pulled it because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he pulled it. I have to say, this reminded me of Kellyanne's hair. She has one big, thick, beautiful piece of hair on her head, okay? And he weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. So his hair was super heavy, meaning like he's got nice full hair. You see how some people got some spots missing, blah, 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 whatever. Like Kellyanne, she ain't got nothing like that. It's just this nice, big, heavy chunk of full head of hair.
Yeah, not like mine.
And
Thank
this
you.
guy is cutting his hair every year, and it's this heavy. Like, this guy's growing hair like no tomorrow, like a chia pet, okay?
I'm cutting his ear every year, and it's going back.
And it's, yeah, 200 shekels of the
Waste.
king's weight. That's how heavy it is, okay?
No way.
And this is just a little aside. People sell human hair to clean up oil spills. It's actually the best thing for cleaning up. So when they dump a bunch of oil by accident in the water, the only thing that can clean it up is human hair. So human hair is big on the market, for
Mm-hmm.
science, for scientific reasons. Absalom would have got a pretty penny for that.
Yes, I want my hair back. Oh my god.
And on to Absalom, there were born 3 sons and one daughter whose name was Tamar, and she was a woman of fair countenance. So you see that again, beauty runs in the family, and
Mm,
he named he was so mad about his sister Tamar that he
uh-huh.
named his daughter Tamar to give maybe Tamar a second chance, right?
Mm.
Yeah, because he still has his Tamar living with him, right?
And the name is next daughter Tamar.
Yeah, because he loves her. He loved his sister. He didn't want anybody to rape her.
Hey.
So at least in her lifetime she saw something good, a child named after her. That was,
Okay.
instead of just sitting there rotting away inside of his
Oh
house.
God. Poor
So
thing.
Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. So for 2 full years now, he is. not seen his father.
I'm sorry, sister. What page are
Oh,
you?
sorry, I'm at 28.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the second time, he would not come.
Oh,
So he's like, Joab, I gotta go talk to dad. I gotta go see dad. Bring me to dad. He's saying nothing. He's saying nothing because he's like, if your dad's not coming to you, you probably might not be a good idea.
all right.
Therefore he said unto his servant, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. And Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, Wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered, Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, Come thither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, Therefore, wherefore am I come from Jeshurun? And it had been good for me to have been there still. Now, therefore, let me see the king's face. So we see there's a lot in here to unpack. He sent for him. He said, sometimes actions speak louder than
Yeah,
words.
yeah. I do.
You just asking, oh, please, can we do this? Oh, please, oh, this, oh, that. Nope, you got to do something. Actions speak louder than words. And not until he burnt down his barley field did he hear a word he had to say. Okay? This is why those who do not listen must feel. This
Yes.
is why,
Mhm.
we have something called licks. Okay?
Oh.
Because kids can hear you all day. And yeah, yeah, okay, Joe. Okay. Okay, Absalom. Okay, Absalom. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is what happens. You don't hear.
Yes.
You
Yes.
and this is like any parent who's raised a child knows they don't hear you. They literally don't hear you.
Oh, really? But when I hear I get some licks though.
But she's still spoiled. She's honestly,
Oh.
she didn't
Mm.
get enough if you ask me.
Mm. Yeah. Excuse me. Me not spoil. We can make it enough lick.
No,
But me not
she's
call him.
spoiled. She's spoiled.
So my skin there.
You see how she's whining about that one little piece of lick there?
Excuse me.
That's how you can tell a spoiled
Excuse
person.
me. Me?
That's how you can
What?
tell a spoiled
I'm
person.
from
They
Jamaica.
whine and
No, no, no,
whine
no, no,
and
no, no, no,
whine
no,
and
no, no,
whine.
no,
That's
no.
what spoiled people do.
Excuse me?
They whine and
With
whine and
strap?
whine and whine.
With belt?
She's still
With
spoiled.
with belt?
You
It's
never
me,
hear
no, no.
somebody whine until you listen to Andrea whining, whining, whining.
I bought my apartment, yes. Anything else, no. Excuse me. I get some piece of beaten with belt.
She's whining about the beating. You see?
Of course I am. It's a reminder. That's what.
No,
Oh,
that means she's spoiled. She still can't. That means she's
okay,
spoiled.
fine.
She
I'm
didn't get no. She
spoiled.
didn't get no beating.
Anyway, you say so. I never knew you was in Jamaica.
She,
Jamaica. They're not. No, no.
no,
They're
she
not
got away.
part.
She ran up on the roof instead of getting
I
beating.
have to
Okay,
run on the
she
roof.
ran away. She didn't get none.
I
Okay.
have to run on the roof.
Mhm.
I must to have scarf on my back the rest of my life? No, thank you. Praise the Father.
You see, she had not one scar to prove that she
No, no,
ever
no, no,
got
no, no,
any
no.
type of lick.
I
Eh?
don't want it on my back. No.
No, she
It's,
never.
I don't come here. Mm-mm. And no, I don't need that on my back. No.
Nothing for Andrea.
No,
But
it's
spoiled. You see,
free.
she's still whining. She's still whining about what she never got.
Well, excuse me. At least I
That's
get
how you.
belt.
That's how you can tell lies.
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 Excuse me. I used to have belt decoration on my skin. Okay.
Lies. Lies.
Oh, real
True
weird.
lies. Ever hear of a true lie before? That's a true
There's a
lie.
movie. That's a movie. Sorry.
It's a true lie. So, anyways,
Anyway, yeah.
so those who do not hear must feel. So he's not hearing anything that he says because he's not doing anything about it until he does something, which is burn down the field. He's like, okay. And so he's like, do what I say. Let me see the king's face.
Mhm.
And what do you think is going to happen now that his barley field has been burnt down?
Oh, I see.
He's going
Some
to get
fire.
exactly what he wants.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to bring the fire, right, Andrea?
Mhm.
Bring the fire.
The fire is good, and I will listen.
And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him. So actually, what happened is he didn't see the king's face. He just set up
Oh.
camp in front of the king's house and he's doing politics. Okay, so there's friends and there's political friends.
Oh.
So right now he's making political friends of um with all of David's people because he wants to take the kingdom away now
Hey.
because he's angry about what happened to Amnon, which was prompted by Jehonadab, the evil nephew. So this is all his undoing is all in the family here. His own brothers. And his brothers never really liked him from the beginning. They're always like, "Oh, when he was going to kill Goliath, they're like, "Get out of here." They're always hating. His brothers were always hating,
Well,
okay?
he's a young. They can kill the
And
sheep.
I don't think his father loved him like at all. David's got some issues. David has got some family issues. Like his father did not love him.
Are you
No.
sure about that?
Mm-mm.
Wasn't he the one I was taking care of the sheep? The jeeps? Oh God, gosh.
Yeah,
Sheep.
but his dad didn't love him. His dad didn't love him. No. So
Oh, my sheep.
yes, so Absalom is at the door talking to everybody. So he didn't get what he wanted. So he burnt down the barley field. And yes, Joab heard him, but Joab can't make David do something he doesn't want to do. So, well, anyways, we're gonna keep reading. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate, and it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man um,
The the but the but
debuted, yes, sorry,
the
of the king to hear thee. So he's like, oh, nobody's there to take care of your matter. There's nobody there to judge in between you guys. Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which has a suit or a cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. So I think Absalom would have been a great judge because he was so upset about what had happened to Tamar that it would have been a passion. It burned in his heart to have to see justice.
mhm.
But it goes too far. Cause so he's kissing him on the hand. He's telling everybody they're right. So he's doing a whole what do you call it, conspiracy against his father now to gain the people. He's making political friends, meaning like he's like, oh, here, take my card. Oh, yes, I love you, you're the best. He's like, when they come to your door and they
Yes.
try to get votes, he's getting votes. He's getting his votes.
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm.
there's friends and then there's votes, so know the difference.
Huh?
And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to see the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. So it's funny because he was making this big fuss to for Joab to bring him to his dad, but then all of a sudden once he's ready, he just goes into his dad and tells him,
Eh?
"Hey, I'm going over here." So the story's not making any sense.
I have no
so
comments.
so this is like he he's just sometimes life is like that. You know, we go in circles, we do unnecessary things when we just need to go and face our fears and do whatever it is we need to do.
Yes.
But it was good for him that he was there because then he got to steal the hearts of all of David's people and
Oh.
get all the votes, right?
Fire, man, fire.
So now he's lying to his father, which is bad. He's telling him that he made a vow to the Lord, which he did not,
No, no, that's bad.
so he can go back to some other place.
That's
For thy
bad.
servant vowed a vow while I abode in Jeshurun in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron.
Mm.
So his plan is just ready for hatching. He's gonna say, "I am the king," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. So he's doing this right under their nose, but they don't know. And Absalom sent for um, Ahithophel, the Gil- Gilonite, David's counselor from his city, even from Gilon, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. So Absalom is just getting constantly gaining people, gaining people, gaining people, gaining people. And you know, this is done on the evil side, but this is kind of like preaching, right? When you preach the good news, you're supposed to preach to them what is good, why. With the foolishness of preaching, we bring people to the kingdom of God, right?
Yes. But what me not like, he
Mm,
lied that if out to
to
God.
God, yeah.
That I don't like
Like,
that
don't
part.
use God in your lie.
No, leave him out. You do. Excuse me. Forgive me. Did you hear the thunder last night? One piece of thunder. Boom. Okay. So listen. Don't use God name in lies. I'm telling you. Don't think. Right.
You heard it there. So, but the reason why he used that lie is because David would understand that lie, because that was a plausible lie, because everybody in David's family, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, had all done that, made promises in other lands that if God had brought them back, that da 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 da. So he said, "Oh, I'll just do that," you know?
Oh, see.
So, but yeah, no, as Andrea said, do not use God's name in a lie, please.
You hear that thunder? Hey, alright. I'm having phone. I'm never take no picture, you know. It's like I'm take a picture, you know. It sound like I said, I'm on my phone. But I never take no picture. I was looking at something. I'm here, one piece of lightning. And one more thing, I think I need to stop using the word lightning
Why?
because I didn't remember they say it's gonna be a lightning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You never hear it?
I know. And there came a messenger to David saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king shall appoint. Um, I think this is after 40 years this happens,
Oh,
but somewhere I must have skipped it.
oh
So,
no.
mm,
I, no.
oh, yes, I did read it. Or maybe I did read it. It says, "And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron." So he's an old guy now. He's about 50 years old. He's pretty old now.
Okay.
And that means that David is even older. So David is not up for this fight, up for this battle. That's why he's just like, okay, everybody, let's get out of here. David said unto all his servants that were with him, "Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us um, suddenly and bring evil upon us and smite the city with the edge of the sword." So David's just like, I'm old, I'm getting out of here.
Okay.
And the king's servant said unto the king, "Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king shall appoint." And also, Absalom was responsible for Amnon's death, so maybe David is afraid of him.
Yeah.
And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth. Do you want me to explain that?
Yeah.
Concubines. A very interesting word that I hate.
Oh, I've never heard that. Oh.
They're women that David had sex with, but he did not marry. So they're going to take care of the house.
Never mind.
And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in the place that was far off. And all his servants passed on before him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. So he's making sure everybody else is safe first.
Oh,
Then
okay.
said the king to Ittai the Gittite, "Wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger um and also a what? What does it say there?
Exhale?
Oh, an exile.
Exile, okay.
Yeah. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us, seeing I go whither I may? Return thou and take back thy return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee." So he's like, I'm gonna be up and down, and I don't know where I'm going. So you just came here yesterday. Go with the other guy and be comfortable and chill out and relax.
Yes. Oh.
And Ittai answered the king and said, "As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or in life, even there also will thy servant be." This is how you should serve people in death and in life.
Yes.
Like when I find a good boss that I love, I'm with them. Like death and life, we are in this. We're in this soup, whether you fail, whether I really like it when I have somebody I can get on board with them like this because it's just like, it's clicking, it's clicking.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Alright.
And David said to Ittai, "Go and pass over." And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men and all the little ones that were with him. So David allowed him to go, and I think because David was in this position when he was with the Philistines. He was with his enemies, but he loved his enemies. This is David for you. He just loves everybody except for the women.
Don't mention the woman because we.
So, um,
Mm,
David, he loved his Philistine master person, and they would not let him go with them anywhere, and he was very sad about that, and it became a big fight and a battle because he just really wanted to serve this guy, and
Mm.
They didn't get it. So now that this guy is doing the same thing to him, he's like, go, you can come with us because I remember where I was at that time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny is there's a lot of little kids with this guy. So maybe that'll be good for his kingdom later on in life when he's got a bunch of kids coming in his kingdom, right? They're growing up.
Yes.
You know, the best they say that kids they don't sell to people. They don't sell to adults cuz adults are, we're old, right? They
Yeah.
sell to children because once you're a child and you go to Disneyland, then for the rest of your life you want to go there. It's like, why is there this big grown 90-year-old going to Disneyland? It's just because they sold you when you were a kid and now you always want to do that for the rest of your life. You get it?
Oh.
So that's how they get lifelong customers. So
Oh.
David's getting some lifelong customers here,
I
okay?
see. So the blind man.
And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over, and the brook Charon, and all the people passed over towards the way of the wilderness. Sorry, Kidron. Sorry, my writing is not that great, so I can't read it that well.
Mm.
And lo, Zadok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the kid said unto Zadok, carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation.
Mm.
I can unpack that, but I'm too tired right now. That's what Absalom said he was going to do in Hebron. Now David's saying he's going to do that. But if he thus saith, I have no delight in thee, behold, here I am. Let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. David is just laid out before God. God, whatever you want to do to me, I'm here for it. Like
Wow.
this is the reason why, you see very evidently why David was a man after God's own heart. He had some great qualities. Like, and the king said also unto Zadok the priest, art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ah- Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abithar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. So he's
Mm.
telling the priest that they need to stay with Absalom until he comes back.
Okay.
And Zadok, therefore, and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. So if the ark is going back, so are the priests going back.
Right.
And he probably doesn't want the responsibility of dealing with them while he doesn't know where he's going, right?
I see.
And David went up by the ascent of Mount Oliver, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered. And he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped God, behold. So when he said God turned this guy's counsel into foolishness,
Mhm.
it's not a light thing because people see this guy so close to God, like they listen to anything he says. So he knows that if Absalom has this guy, Absalom is going to be very powerful.
Okay.
And as he worshiped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat, and rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If thou, what does that say?
what page are you? What number, sister?
I'm on 23.
Oh,
No, no, sorry, 33, 33.
and to whom David said, if thou pass,
Passes?
passes,
Okay.
yeah.
On with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant, hitherto so will now also be thy servant, then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. So this is, I think this is David's friend, right? Is that
Oh,
who it is? Who's
I
coming to him?
I don't know. I don't know this person's name. I think it's
Okay.
somebody
Oh,
else.
it's just a Achai. It doesn't give you a description of him yet.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And thou, and hast thou not with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. So this is where you see how like the Chinese spies and this spies, and so sometimes when I hear spies on the news, I'm like,
I'm scared to
I'm
hear
just
that, man.
I'm
No.
thinking to myself like, whatever. This is not an action movie. Like nobody really cares what they're doing in America and Canada. They don't really care. But here it's like it's showing you why they have spies to.
Um, is that anything? Is sorry? Is this really such thing as spice? Spice?
Yeah,
Spice?
to listen to what's going on, I guess.
Lord have mercy, God. Somebody not listen to me.
I don't think they want to know what's going on with you.
Good.
I think it has to do with political stuff.
Yeah.
Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz and Zadok, sons, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. So
Oh.
it is his friend. Okay, and when David was a little past the top of the hill, also this is Samuel 16. My question is, should I stop it and start now?
Did you go on 16 already?
No, 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 I just started a little bit.